Monmouth is a traditional county town in Monmouthshire, Wales. It is situated where the River Monnow meets the River Wye, within 2 miles of the border with England. The town is 36 miles northeast of Cardiff, and 127 miles west of London. It is within the Monmouthshire local authority, and the parliamentary constituency of Monmouth. According to the 2001 census, its population was 8,877, increasing to 10,508 at the 2011 census. The town was the site of a small Roman fort, Blestium, and became established after the Normans built a castle here after 1067. Its medieval stone-gated bridge is the only one of its type remaining in Britain. The castle later came into the possession of the House of Lancaster, and was the birthplace of King Henry V in 1387. In 1536, it became the county town of Monmouthshire. Monmouth later became a tourist centre at the heart of the Wye Valley, as well as a market town. It now acts as a shopping and service centre, and as a focus of educational and cultural activities for its surrounding rural area. Etymology: the name Monmouth is an English contraction of Monmouth, the Welsh name for the River Monnow, which may originally have meant fast-flowing. It was anglicised as Monnow. The town was originally known in Welsh as Abermonwy, replaced by Nilfanion by the 1600s. History: excavations undertaken by the Monmouth Archaeological Society on sites along Monnow Street have uncovered a wealth of information about the early history of the town. Indeed, the Council for British Archaeology have designated Monmouth as one of the top 10 towns in Britain for archaeology. Prehistoric evidence of a Bronze Age boat-building community, including 3 100-feet-long channels adjoining the site of a now-vanished lake, was discovered in September 2013, during archaeological investigations by the Monmouth Archaeological Society of the Park-Lindore housing development site, immediately northwest of the town. The excavations later revealed the remains of a Neolithic crannog. The dwelling was constructed on stilts on a man-made island away from the lake shore in water up to 10 feet deep. Oak timbers had been skillfully cut with stone of flint axes to form stilts of posts and poles, which probably rested on 3 parallel fully grown tree sleeper beams, up to 3 feet 3 inches wide, laid horizontally on the lakebed. Timbers from the structure were radiocarbon dated to 4,867 years before present. Roman times. The first recorded settlement at Monmouth was the small Roman fort of Blestium, one of a network of military bases established on the frontiers of the Roman occupation. This was connected by road to the larger Roman towns at Gleva and Augusta. Archaeologists have found Roman pottery and coins within the modern town centre. During the later Roman period, between the 2nd and late 4th centuries, it appears to have been a centre for iron working, using the local iron ores and charcoal also worked at nearby Gobanium and Ariconium. The Middle Ages. After the end of Roman rule in Britain, the area was at the southern edge of the Welsh kingdom of Urging. The only evidence of continuing settlement at Monmouth is a record of a 7th century church at an unknown location within the town, dedicated to the Welsh St. Cadog. In 1056, the area was devastated by the Welsh Prince Griffith ap Llywelyn, on his way with an army of Welsh, Saxons and Danes to defeat Ralph, Earl of Hereford, and sack the Saxon burgh at Hereford, 18 miles to the north. Following the Norman conquest of England in 1066, the earldom of Hereford was given to William Fitzosborne of Breteuil, Normandy, one of King William's closest allies, who was responsible for defending the area against the Welsh. A new castle was built at Monmouth, holding commanding views over the surrounding area from a sound defensive site and exerting control over both river crossings and the area's important resources of farmland, timber and minerals. Initially it would have been a motte and bailey castle, later rebuilt in stone, and refortified and developed over time. A town grew up around it, and a Benedictine priory was established around 1075 by Withynoc, a Breton who became Lord of Monmouth after Roger, the son of William Fitzosborne, was disgraced. The priory may have once been the residence of the monk Geoffrey of Monmouth, who was born around 1100 and is best known for writing the chronicle Historia Regum Britanniae. The town was recorded in the Domesday Book, and expanded thereafter. There was early burgage development along Monnow Street, and the suburb of River Monnow, west of the river, began to develop by the 12th century. Charters from the period refer to the town's trade in iron, and to forges making use of local ore and charcoal. The cinders produced by the forges formed heaps, and were used in building foundations. The name of Cinder Hill Street in River Monnow dates from this period. During the period of turmoil between the supporters of King Henry III and the barons who sought to curtail his power, the town was the scene of a major battle in 1233, in which the king's forces were routed by the troops of Richard Marshal, Earl of Pembroke. Later, the castle was extended by Henry's son Edmund Crouchback, after he became Earl of Lancaster in 1267. In about 1300, town walls were built, and the bridge over the Monnow was fortified. The bridge, now pedestrianised, remains in place today, the only such fortified bridge in Britain and reputedly one of only 3 similar crossings in Europe. King Edward II was briefly imprisoned at Monmouth Castle in 1326, after being overthrown by his wife Isabella and her lover Roger Mortimer, the Earl of March. In the mid-14th century, the castle and town came into the possession of the House of Lancaster through the marriage of John of Gaunt to Blanche of Lancaster. John of Gaunt strengthened the castle, adding the Great Hall, and the castle became a favourite residence of the House of Lancaster. In 1387, John of Gaunt's grandson was born to Mary de Bohun in the Queen's chamber within the gatehouse of Monmouth Castle, while his father Henry Bolingbroke was hunting in the area. The boy was known as Henry of Monmouth before his coronation as Henry V, supported by longbowmen from the area. He won the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. Monmouth's links with Henry are commemorated in the naming of the main town square, Agincourt Square, and in the statue of Henry on the front of the Shire Hall. For the 14th century onwards, the town became noted for the production of woolen Monmouth caps. However, as a border town, its prosperity suffered after nearby areas, including Usk and Grosmont, were devastated through attacks by supporters of Orwain Glyndŵr around 1405, though Monmouth itself did not come under attack. Post-medieval times in 1536, Henry VIII imposed the laws in Wales Acts chapters 1535 to 1542, abolishing the powers of the Marcher Lords and integrating the administration of England and Wales. A new shire was created covering the area west of Gloucestershire and Herefordshire, and Monmouth became its county town. The town gained representation in the English Parliament at the same time, and its priory was dissolved. In 1605, James I granted Monmouth a town charter by letters patent. The granting of the charter included the charge that the town, at all perpetual future times, be and remain a town and borough of peace and quiet, to the example and terror of the wicked and reward of the good. The layout of the town as depicted in Speed's map of 1610 would be easily recognizable to present-day inhabitants, with the layout of the main axis clearly visible from the castle via the main street, Monnow Street, to the bridge. Monnow Street is a typical market street, in being wide in the middle and narrow at each end, to help prevent livestock escaping. Monmouth School was founded by William Jones in 1614. The castle changed hands 3 times during the English Civil War, and Oliver Cromwell passed through on his way to retaking Chepstow Castle and laying siege to Pembroke Castle in 1648. Monmouth Castle was slighted after the wars ended, but the town itself grew in prosperity. Great Castle House, built in 1673, is now the home of the Royal Monmouthshire Royal Engineers, the oldest regiment in the British Army. The Shire Hall was built in 1724, and was used for the local assizes, with the area beneath the building serving as the town market. By the end of the 18th century, the town had become a popular centre for visitors undertaking the Wye Tour, an excursion by boat through the scenic Wye Valley, taking in the picturesque sights of Ross-on-Wye, Goodrich, Tintern, Chepstow and elsewhere. Poets William Wordsworth, Samuel Coleridge, and Robert Southey, as well as painter J.M.W. Turner, were among those who visited the area. The 19th and 20th centuries. The town was visited in 1802 by Admiral Horatio Nelson, who knew the importance of the area's woodland in providing timber for the British Navy, and approved a naval temple built in his honour on the nearby Kimmin Hill. In 1840, at Monmouthshire Hall, Chartist protesters John Frost, Zephaniah Williams and William Jones became the last men in Britain to be sentenced to be hanged, drawn and quartered after being found guilty of treason following riots in Newport that led to 20 deaths. The sentences were later commuted to transportation to Van Diemen's Land, until the establishment of an official police force in 1857. Monmouth had a parish constable assisted by beadles to keep law and order. The appointed constables held office for a year and were often men who had experience in other local government or community roles. William Fuller, who held office as Monmouth's constable for over 20 years in the early to mid-19th century, also served as Inspector of Nuisances, Chief of the Fire Brigade, Inspector of Weights and Measures, Clerk of the Market, and Conservator of the Wye. Fuller is also recorded as having rescued people from drowning, acted as emergency midwife, and rescued a woman from a flooded house. The types of crime that Fuller and subsequent police officers had to deal with in and around Monmouth as the century progressed were recorded in detail in the local newspapers, the Merlin and the Monmouthshire Beacon. These crimes included theft of livestock, clothing, food, valuables, fuel, assault, vandalism, highway robbery, fraud, passing counterfeit coin, prostitution, and indecent exposure, as well as the more serious crimes of concealing the death of an infant, carnal knowledge without consent, and murder. The constable would have been present in court at Shire Hall when many of these cases came before the quarter sessions or assizes. Once the court had passed sentence, there was a wide range of punishment available to the authorities. Capital offences were dealt with at Monmouth County Jail, as were whippings and sentences of hard labour. Although a police force of 4 constables and a sergeant was established in Monmouth in 1836, uncertain finances meant that within 2 years the force was reduced to just 2 constables. 4 railways were built to serve Monmouth between 1857 and 1883, the Culford, Monmouth, Usk and Pontypool Railway, the Ross and Monmouth Railway, the Wye Valley Railway, and the Culford Railway. All of these closed between 1917 and 1964. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Monmouth had close links with the Rolls family, who built a mansion at the Hendra just outside the town. In 1904, Charles Rolls established a new car-making business with Henry Royce, but in 1910 he was killed in an aeroplane crash at the age of 32. He is commemorated by a statue in Agincourt Square. St Mary's Church contains a memorial to the men who lost their lives in HMS Monmouth, which was sunk with all hands on 1 November 1914, by German cruisers SMS Scharnhorst and SMS Gneisenau off the Chilean coast at the Battle of Coronel. The church hosts an annual service in remembrance. 7 Royal Navy ships have been named after the town, including a Type 23 frigate launched in 1991 which is still in operation. Monmouth remained a relatively sedate and quiet small town for most of the 20th century. Its passenger rail services ended in 1959, but its road connections greatly improved with the new A40 bypassing the town in 1966, and later connecting the town to the motorway system. These improved communications contributed to the development of the town, with suburbs extending beyond the rivers Wye and Monnow to the southeast, west and north of the old town centre. Geography. Monmouth is located in an area of Devonian Old Red Sandstone, at the point where the River Wye is joined by its tributary, the River Monnow, and immediately north of the point at which the smaller River Trothy flows into the Wye from the west. Immediately to the south, the Wye enters its gorge, incised into sandstone and, in particular, Carboniferous limestone. The town is surrounded by wooded hills to its north, east and south, including Buckhold Wood, the Kimmin and the Graig, with more gently undulating terrain to the west. The town centre itself is sited on a low-lying spur between the floodplains of the Wye and Monnow, and has frequently suffered from severe flooding. The water meadows to the north and south of the town centre, known respectively as Vauxhall Fields and Chippenham, have generally remained free of development. In climatic terms, the town is located between those areas around the Severn estuary which show a maritime influence, and the cooler and drier conditions of the Midlands of England further inland. The nearby Ross-on-Wye weather station shows average daily maximum temperatures ranging from 7.3 degrees Celsius in January to 22.0 degrees Celsius in July, with 1,504 hours of sunshine per year, and an average annual rainfall of 706 millimeters. Transport. Monmouth is located beside the A40 dual carriageway road that links the M4 motorway at Newport in South Wales with the M50 motorway at Ross-on-Wye. This connects in turn with the M5 motorway south of Worcester in the West Midlands. The A40 passed through the town centre until 1966, when it was reopened as a relief road on land between the town centre and the River Wye. South of the town, the road passes through a short tunnel beneath Gibraltar Hill to the northeast of the town. It follows the line of the Wye Valley. The town is linked to Chepstow in the south and Hereford in the north by the A466 road. Regular bus services run between the town and Hereford, Ross-on-Wye, Culford, Chepstow, Newport and Abergavenny. The nearest major airports to Monmouth are at Bristol and Cardiff. London Heathrow Airport is 120 miles away. Monmouth has been without passenger rail service since January 1959, although goods trains ran until 1964. Monmouth's main railway station, known as Monmouth Troy, was a coal distribution depot and a base for heavy goods vehicles for many years after its closure as a part of the rail network. But the building has now been dismantled and re-erected at Winchcombe Railway Station on the Gloucestershire-Warwickshire Railway. The other station at Monmouth was Monmouth Mayhill on the Ross and Monmouth Railway, built on the opposite bank of the River Wye right to the town centre. This operated for many years as Monmouth sawmills and gas works after its closure as part of the rail network. Governance. Monmouth is administered by Monmouthshire County Council, one of the 22 unitary local authorities in Wales formed in 1996. Its offices were located until 2012 at the former Gwent County Hall at Croesacaliog, Cwmbran. Most staff are now located in offices at Usk and Magor. The town elects 4 county councillors for the wards of Dixton with Osbaston, Drybridge, River Monnow and Wye. Currently, 2 councillors are independent and 2 are Conservatives. The town also has its own town council, comprising 16 councillors elected every 4 years. Monmouth had a mayor and burgesses in medieval times, and the town gained its first charter from Henry VI in 1447. It was included within the hundred of Skenfrith after the county of Monmouthshire was formed. Following the Municipal Corporations Act of 1835, the town elected a borough council, comprising a mayor, alderman and councillors. In 1974 that corporation was abolished, and the town became part of the much larger Monmouth district, which until 1996 formed one of the 5 districts of Gwent. The town was first represented in Parliament in 1536, when it was allocated 1 seat and the Shire 2 further seats. By the late 17th century, the electorate of the 3 seats comprised the resident freemen of Monmouth, Newport and Usk, and after the Great Reform Act of 1832 the constituency was generally referred to as the Monmouth boroughs. The Representation of the People Act 1918 led to Newport becoming a parliamentary borough in its own right, and Monmouth was included in the new Monmouth County constituency. The town has remained part of the Monmouth constituency in subsequent elections, although the constituency boundary has changed several times. Notable MPs for the area have included the industrialist Rauche Bailey from 1852 to 1868, Peter Thornycroft, Chancellor of the Exchequer in 1957–58 and Chairman of the Conservative Party 1975–81, who was the town's MP from 1945 to 1966, and John Stradling Thomas, MP from 1970 to 1991. The constituency has returned a Conservative MP at most recent elections. The current member is David Davies, first elected in 2005. In elections for the Welsh Assembly, the town is part of the Monmouth constituency. The current AM is Nick Ramsey. Monmouth is within the Wales constituency for the European Parliament. The Laws in Wales Acts created an anomaly in that, although Monmouthshire was noted as being in the country a dominion of Wales's, it was made directly responsible to the courts of Westminster rather than falling under the Court of Great Sessions in Wales. Ecclesiastically, until 1836 the town of Monmouth fell within the Diocese of Hereford, rather than that of Llandaff. These arrangements gave rise to the widespread belief that the area was part of England rather than Wales, although most legislation for Wales was applied to it using the phrase Wales and Monmouthshire. Following the Welsh Church Act 1914, the Church in Wales established the Diocese of Monmouth in 1921, and in 1949, Monmouthshire was included within the remit of the Council for Wales and Monmouthshire, an appointed precursor of the Welsh office. The issue of whether Monmouth should be considered as part of Wales for administrative purposes was finally clarified in law by the Local Government Act 1972, which incorporated Monmouthshire within Wales. Economy. Monmouth developed primarily as a market town and agricultural centre, rather than as a centre of industry. The wool industry was important in its early growth, and the town was a centre for the production of the very popular knitted and felted Monmouth caps from the 15th century onwards. Historically, Monmouth also had iron and tin plate works, together with paper and corn mills. The town was also an important river port, with warehouses and wharves along the Wye, later removed for the building of the A40 Relief Road. Monmouth is now primarily a centre for service industries and tourism, and its good road communications have encouraged commuting to larger centres in the West Midlands, South Wales, and Bristol. The Monmouth and District Chamber of Trade and Commerce represents businesses in the town and aims to support and encourage the development. The town has a variety of both national and independent shops, many of which are located in Monnow Street. Supermarkets include Waitrose, Cooperative Food, Marks and Amp, Spencer Food, Iceland, and Lidl. The town also has a full range of banks and many independent cafes and restaurants. Church Street, a cobbled pedestrianised street, contains craft shops, a book shop, a traditional greengrocer, chemist, coffee shops and restaurants. Monmouth has been a fair trade town since 2005. A regular market takes place close to the Monnow Bridge, and occasionally in the traditional marketplace in Agincourt Square. There are numerous public houses in the centre of the town, including the Old Nag's Head, the Queen's Head, the Punch House, the Griffin, the Gloucester, the Vinetree, the King's Head, the Three Horseshoes, the Green Dragon and the Gatehouse. The record company Nimbus Records is located at Wye near the town. According to the 2001 census, Monmouth had relatively high proportions of its population working in the retail and wholesale sectors of the economy, education, and property services. The proportion working in manufacturing was lower than the average, as was the proportion in public administration. In terms of occupational groups, the proportion of residents in managerial and professional posts was higher than average, and the proportions in administrative and processing work were lower. Demography. The usual resident population in the 2001 census was 8,877. Of the total, 1,760 were aged 15 or younger, 1,227 between 16 and 29, 1,687 between 30 and 44, 1,849 between 45 and 59, 1,386 between 60 and 74, and 968 aged 75 or over. The median age of residents was 42, in comparison to a Wales-wide median age of 39. The town's population increased from 5,504 in 1961 to 8,877 in 2001, a growth of 61% over 40 years. Education. Preschool and primary. There are 3 primary schools in the town: Cyminview, Osbaston, and River Monnow. A Welsh language parent and toddler group Nilfanion operates with the support of Moody Admythron. Secondary. The town is served by Monmouth Comprehensive School, which had over 1,600 pupils in 2012. Welsh medium secondary education is provided at Ysgol-Gyffyn, Gwyntlw and Pontypool. There are 2 large and well-known independent boarding and day schools, Monmouth School and Haberdashers Monmouth School for Girls. Tertiary College Gwent offers short courses at the Learn-It Centre. Monmouth University of the Third Age offers educational and leisure activities for retired and semi-retired people. Heath and social care. Health care services are provided by the Aneurin and Bevan Health Board, part of the National Health Service. Following the closure of Monmouth Hospital in 2006, health services are provided at the Monnow Vale Integrated Health and Social Care Facility, the Bridges Community Centre in Dry Bridge House adjacent to the Health and Social Care Facility provides support services to disadvantaged and vulnerable people. Religion. In the 2001 census, 74.2% of the town's resident population gave the religion as Christian, with 16.7% stating no religion. Minority religions included Muslim, Sikh, and Buddhist. Monmouth contains churches of several denominations. Within the Church in Wales, the Monmouth group of parishes includes the Priory Church of St Mary, which holds regular weekly services. The church was founded as a Benedictine priory around 1075. It fell into ruin after the dissolution of the monasteries in 1536, but was rebuilt as a parish church in 1737 and then completely rebuilt again in 1882. The church spire is prominent in views of and within the town. Other Anglican churches in the local group of parishes of St Thomas at River Monnow and the churches at Mishawtroy, Wanastow and Buckholt. The Diocese of Monmouth, the cathedral of which is the Cathedral Church of St Woolas in Newport, is one of the 6 dioceses of the Church in Wales. The churches at Wylesham and Dixton, though within the boundaries of Wales, are administered by the Church of England, and fall within the Diocese of Hereford. St Mary's Roman Catholic Church was the first Catholic church to be built in Wales after the Reformation, and its construction followed the relaxation of laws against Catholics in 1778. The building was extended on several occasions in the 19th century. Monmouth Methodist Church is noted for both its exterior and interior architectural features. The Baptist Church was founded in 1818, though the current church was not constructed until 1907. There is a Christian Fellowship Church at Wylesham.